Good morning, it's Jason Howe. Come and see how world famous Rotosound music strings are made. Follow me. Right, this is the raw materials where we keep up to 20 tonnes of stainless steel, nickel, phosphor bronze. We buy the raw material from all over the world. This, for example, is the nickel plated steel wire that goes into making the electric guitar strings. There's all different kinds of materials in here. All the cover wire, the core wire, and these are the ball ends. These actually come from Switzerland, where they're famous for making watches. Very precision product. Some of the raw materials kept here go into making the flat wound strings. What we do, this machine that you can see here has the Monel wire fitted this end. It goes into the machine round, comes out the other end flat, and we can make this to any different size that we require. These sizes here, 315, 430, these are all thousandths of an inch. So they're all very specific sizes for the type of string that they're going to end up on. Maybe some jazz guitar strings or the very light bass strings. Down here is the black nylon. Again, we buy this in round. These are the round spools up here, and we flatten the nylon. So this is what makes the RS88 true bass string. Over here is the stainless steel wire. This is used to make our most famous bass strings, the swing bass, and at any one time we've got about 8 to 10 tonnes of this wire in stock in all the different sizes, right down to wire that's as thick as a human hair, 4/1000th of an inch. This small machine here does all the spooling for the silk that goes on the end of the bass strings. So we buy the silk in like this on big spools. Actually, they're a lot bigger when they're full up, and they get spooled down onto these smaller reels to go on our string winding machines, which you'll see later on. Over here is part of the stores for the core wire. Now, most plain guitar strings are just made of round piano wire, and this comes in different sizes, ranging from 8/1000ths of an inch up to about 26. And on this reel here is about 11 kilos of piano wire, which will be put through the machines next door and the ball end attached. So these two machines here, these put the ball ends on the core wire, or the plain guitar strings. Each machine can manufacture several thousand strings an hour. So this department is very critical to the rest of the factory, because if these machines aren't running at the right speed, we have problems in the manufacturing. These are two new machines we bought in the last 2 or 3 years. So. You see up here, this is the ball ends come down from the hopper, down this shaft, drop in there, the wire comes through, and then it twists. And this is the finished core. Okay, so what the operator does, they put the cores into the machine. In this case, we're making our bass, swing bass series A string, which is the SBL80. Then the cover wire is attached, and you might want to go close in here, and then the winding procedure starts. So that's now wound the SBL80, and then when the operator comes back to the machine, they'll put the silk on.
Great.
So this is the packing room. This is where all the strings get collated and coiled and packed into their various sets. Once they're packed into sets, they then go into the boxes, which then go out into the stockroom. So this is our small part of our stockroom, from where all the strings that are manufactured come into the finished boxes, which look like this. We have a new clear box now, which is making it easier for the customer to see what size is inside. The strings get exported to around 60 different countries throughout the world. This year we've had an increase of 48% on our export, our worldwide business, which is one of the strongest increases that the company's had over the last 20 years. So this is mainly all the electric guitar strings this side and acoustic guitar strings this side. All the different gauges, all the different combinations of sets, 6-string, 7-string, 12-string, stainless steel, nickel, the new Nexus strings, everything's in here. We have a whole range of classical guitar strings, normal tension, high tension, black and silver, silk and steel. These are the pure nickel sets, which I didn't mention earlier on. These are very nice for top-end electric guitar string, 40% nickel. Down here to all the, we call traditional instruments like the bouzouki, banjo, ukulele strings. All these products are important in the whole mix of everything that we manufacture. What's becoming more popular now, the 7-string sets for the guys that detune. You know, a normal 10 to 46 set, we put a 56 on the bottom string. These are our most popular acoustic strings, the Jumbo Kings. Again, it's another name. Jumbo King is a name that goes back to the 1960s, same as our swing bass. And this side, it's all bass strings pretty much. Some of the new products, we've got the drop zone sets, which are for the guys that want to detune down to F sharp. And then if they want to go down a bit further, we do the Drop Zone Plus, which has got a massive 175 on the bottom string. That's give you a quick look at that. But it's like we call a tow rope. It's a huge string. But if a lot of guys want to detune down to F sharp, that's the string to use. My father was primarily an engineer and a musician, and a very fortunate combination, because most engineers aren't musicians and most musicians aren't engineers. So when you get the two and you put them together, you kind of have this lucky combination of somebody that's got the knowledge of the music and the ability to manufacture the products, and even more important, the tools to which you need to make the product. So at the end of the war, my father was playing two instruments. He was playing the violin and the zither. And the zither, as you may know, is a famous Austrian instrument which is about the size of a tray, and you put the instrument on your lap and you play it with your two hands. Quite a complex instrument to play, certainly if you're just used to playing the guitar. And after the war, my father and his brother decided what we'd do is we're going to buy these instruments, restore them and sell them. So it really started out as a instrument renovating kind of business. And the more my father got into renovating instruments, he'd find he'd make repair the zither, and he'd, well, hang on a minute, I need strings. So he'd go out and he'd try and find some strings for the zither. And of course on a zither there's about 50 different strings, all different sizes, different materials, different specifications, from stainless steel, piano wire, nylon, silver-plated copper, all kinds of different materials. So after restoring so many zithers, he eventually ran out of supplies for the strings, and that was where the whole history of my father and Rotosound making strings started. In about 1953, he went to see the film The Third Man, which is like a spy, kind of like an Alfred Hitchcock movie. Very intriguing, and the music fits perfectly with the plot of the film. So my dad came away from that film very excited about learning to play the zither. That's where the zither connection come from. But in about 1958, he formed a company called Orchestral and Jazz Strings, which was primarily to make strings for these kinds of instruments, not for the bass guitar, not for the electric guitar, because remember, this is the mid-50s, so pop music in England wasn't really that big at the time. First thing he had to do was build and design a machine that made the strings. So at the time he was working part-time at the Royal Ordnance Factory in Woolwich, which is southeast London. And I remember a great story my dad told me where he said, what I'd do, Jason, I'd be designing the machine at home, and I'd go into work, and during my lunch hour I'd start making parts for my machine. And at the end of the day I'd put this part in my case and I'd take it out of the factory. And after about 4 months he'd made all the bits and taken them out of the factory and assembled the string making machine at home in his shed. One of his friends at the time was Dick Denny, who went on to design the AC30 amplifier. And that connection with Tom Jennings, they come to my father, the Vox company, and said, look, we want strings and we would like some strings manufactured. The Vox factory was in Dartford, Kent. The Rotosound factory that was just opening was in Bexley Heath. It's 5 miles away. So it was a very good collaboration to have Rotosound, or at the time, Orchestral and Jazz Strings, making strings for Vox. And of course, as this carried on, we got more and more inquiries from famous players that couldn't find the different strings they wanted. My father employed a sales director at the time, a guy called Alan Markison. And Alan is quite famous. He's almost as famous as Jimi Hendrix and The Who, because he's in all the pictures with these bands. And Alan Markison was a fantastic salesman and a great marketing genius, really, because he was the one that said to my father, we need to get all these bands involved in the brand to endorse and push the product. And my dad said at the time, I haven't done anything that clever other than get all the world's most famous artists travelling the world with my strings on their instruments. And that was how the first marketing started with Rotosound. 1964, 1965, John Entwistle and The Who were out, and the band was doing very well. And John had problems getting the strings for his Dan Electro bass and some of the other basses, so he turned up at my dad's factory one day and said, I've tried your strings, but I think we need to have a heavier E string and a slightly lighter D string. I don't know the exact specifics, but as I have heard, they adjusted the gauges slightly, and that set became the RS66 swing bass set. My dad said, John, can I put a picture of you in the back of the string pack saying that you use Rotosound, recommend Rotosound? And John Entwistle said, yeah, no problem, as long as you give me some free strings. So that was kind of the first endorsement for our product, 1966. So during the 1970s, Rotosound continued its association with a lot of famous artists. You might have heard of Led Zeppelin, Chris Squire, Yes, Thin Lizzy, the Electric Light Orchestra, Queen. All these artists used our product throughout their famous careers, all the way through the 70s. Strings that were developed that were brand new concepts were most importantly was the piano string design, which is the the bass string made like a piano string, where just the bare core of the string rests on the bridge of the instrument. And what this does, gives you a much brighter, more powerful sound. You open the lid on a piano, you look at all the bass strings, that's how they're made. It's the best sounding bass string of anything. Endorsees that we have now, right up to date, I guess, for the last 10 or 15 years, Duff McKagan, bands like Oasis, Franz Ferdinand today. And some of the new products that we've developed, we have a new black bass string now called Nexus, which is our black coated bass string. That is also available in acoustic and electric. And the last few years we've revamped the whole product range. Everything's now in new packaging, all moisture proof envelopes. The electric strings, we have two main types. The nickel on steel and the stainless steel. These are the two most popular materials we use for our electrics. On the acoustics, our most popular set is the Jumbo King, which is phosphor bronze, very bright sounding. The Country Gold, we used to be Country Golds, now they're called Super Bronze. This is the piano string design. This is the one I was telling you about, where just the bare core rests on the bridge. Very bright, long-lasting string, a lot of sustain. And okay, so and then lastly we got the Nexus, which we have in the acoustic coated wire, which is phosphor bronze coated, and the electric Nexus sets are the black coated Type 52 alloy. So that is our electric and acoustic string range.